Okay, let's talk about Wabi Sabi. You've probably heard the term, maybe thought it just meant like rustic imperfection.
Yeah, that's the usual shorthand. But today, we want to dig deeper. Wabi Sabi is really this pretty profound Japanese concept. It's a whole worldview, actually, that offers a path to, well, maybe a more contented life.
Right. So our mission here isn't just to define it, because that's tricky, as we'll see. We want to really get into the feel of it, understand its essence, and pull out some, actionable ideas for you, especially if you're looking for knowledge and maybe a way to dial back the overwhelm a bit.
Exactly. And we're drawing from some really interesting sources. We've got Beth Kempton's work. Her book, Exploring Wabi Sabi, is fantastic. And also a video transcript featuring her talking with Hidetoshi Nakata.
Oh, the former footballer.
That's the one. And what's fascinating is his journey. After years living outside Japan, he kind of rediscovered his own culture, including these deeper aesthetic ideas. It brings a really interesting perspective.
Yeah, that distance-giving clarity idea.
Mhm. His rediscovery of Japanese craft and nature, it really sets the scene for understanding how wabi-sabi isn't just an idea, but something you live.
Absolutely. And Kempton paints such a vivid picture of her first real encounter with it. She talks about being in Kyoto, December, quiet temple, away from all the city noise.
And that feeling she describes, quiet contentment tinged with melancholy. That's such a core wabi-sabi feeling.
She mentions picking up a fallen maple leaf, a momiji leaf.
Yeah, already crinkled, sort of fragile, showing its age, its journey. That became a tangible example for her, this poignant beauty in something imperfect, something temporary. It acknowledges time passing.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this. Origins, meaning. Kempton stresses right off the bat, it's really hard to pin down a neat definition.
It is. Even Japanese people often find it hard to articulate. It's often more intuitive, something you feel rather than explain.
Like, you won't find wabi-sabi as one entry in a big dictionary.
Apparently not, according to Kempton. But the parts, wabi and sabi, they have their own distinct histories and meanings.
Okay, let's take wabi first. What's the essence there?
So wabi traditionally points towards finding beauty in simplicity. It's about a kind of spiritual richness you find when you detach from needing lots of stuff, from materialism.
Like the tea ceremony philosophy.
Exactly, that deep appreciation for humility, for things being simple, unadorned. Even frugality is seen as a path to tranquility, to inner peace. It suggests our real needs are maybe simpler than we think.
And then sabi, what does that bring?
Sabi is all about the beauty that comes with time, the patina on old wood, the way things weather, tarnish gracefully. It's the mark of history on an object.
Tanazaki's In Praise of Shadows touches on this, right? That preference for a softer luster.
Oh, absolutely. That pensive luster, as he put it. Sabi really connects us to the cycles of life, growth, decay, renewal. It evokes a connection to the past, maybe even our own mortality, but in a gentle way.
So we have wabi simplicity, inner richness, sabi beauty of age, transience. When did they actually become wabi-sabi, this combined idea?
Well, interestingly, Kempton points out that while the feelings have been around for ages in Japanese culture, the actual term wabi-sabi getting used together is relatively recent, like maybe the last 100 years or so.
Really? That's surprising. It feels ancient.
The feeling is ancient, the practice is ancient, but maybe labeling it wabi-sabi came later? Perhaps as Japan tried to articulate its own unique cultural identity more explicitly.
Kempton tells that story about her older Japanese friend.
Yeah. Who lived this wabi-sabi life completely, but had never consciously used the phrase. It just was her way of being. It shows how deeply intuitive it can be.
So, given all that slipperiness, how does Kempton herself frame wabi-sabi? What's her understanding?
She talks about it as an intuitive response, a feeling you get when you encounter a certain kind of beauty, a beauty that reflects the truth of things, that everything is impermanent, imperfect, and incomplete. And she emphasizes the gifts that come with that acceptance, living simply, slowly, close to nature. She calls wabi-sabi a state of the heart. It's about experiencing the world by being in it, not constantly judging it.
And she connects it to core Buddhist ideas.
Definitely. Things like mujo, the idea that everything is impermanent, always changing, and ku, which is often translated as emptiness, but also points to interconnectedness, the idea that there's no fixed, separate self, that everything is sort of one.
So understanding that constant flux, that lack of solid self, helps you appreciate the wabi-sabi view.
Exactly. It gives a philosophical backbone to accepting things as they are, transient and interconnected. That's really the heartwood of wabi-sabi, appreciating the beauty in that change rather than fighting it.
Okay, origins, meaning starting to get a feel for it. But why now? Why does Wabi Sabi seem to be hitting a nerve today in our fast-paced world?
That's a really good question. Kempton suggests it's like an antidote. Modern life is so often about speed, stress, accumulating stuff, always wanting more. There's this deep yearning many people feel for something simpler, more meaningful.
She calls it a slow revolution.
Yeah, this quiet shift towards valuing genuine beauty, real connection over constant striving. In a world of, filtered perfection online, Wabi Sabi offers this radical acceptance of the real. It takes the pressure off.
So it's like a lens shift. Kempton says a new way of seeing the world, pushing back against more, better, faster.
Precisely. She uses phrases like less stuff, more soul, less hustle, more ease, less chaos, more calm. It's about shifting your focus inward, towards contentment, towards authentic experience, rather than always looking for external validation or the next purchase.
And this can change how we approach our homes, too. She talks about soulful simplicity.
Yeah, soulful simplicity. It's different from that really strict, maybe cold minimalism sometimes. It's Wabi Sabi inspired. It's about creating a home that feels welcoming, beautiful in its own way, but also comfortable lived in.
Like that Japanese phrase she mentions about a home being a place for a happy heart.
Exactly. It captures that feeling, doesn't it? It's not about perfection. It's about creating a supportive, nurturing space.
And she brings in ideas from Japanese architecture to illustrate this.
Right, she talks about Dr. Toroke Madazaki's insights, concepts like ma, which is about the intentional use of space, the pause, the interval. It's also about the connection between inside and outside, bringing nature in.
And the light and shadow thing.
Yeah, the appreciation for how light plays in a space.
Yeah.
Also, choosing materials carefully, often natural ones. And that principle of less is more. Madazaki even mentions the beauty of leaving something slightly unfinished, engaging your imagination.
That idea of ma, the space, sounds key. It mirrors the mental space Wabi Sabi seems to offer, too.
Absolutely. It's about appreciating the gaps, the quiet areas, not just filling everything up physically or mentally.
Okay, so these are lovely ideas, but how do we actually do this? How do we bring it into our homes, our lives? Kempton lays out 5 themes, right?
She does. They're like practical pathways. Simplicity, space, flexibility, nature, and details.
Let's touch on those. Simplicity.
She mentions fog linen work. Their goal is quiet products using natural materials. Simple, functional, beautiful in an understated way. Yeah. And she shares a personal story about clearing a cluttered windowsill and finding more peace in just a few meaningful objects.
Quiet products. I like that. It fits the Wabi Sabi feel.
Definitely. Then space. This links right back to Ma in architecture. She suggests a practical exercise. Literally take everything out of a room. Then slowly, mindfully, put back only what you truly love or need. Asking yourself, does this bring joy? Does it serve a purpose?
Wow, that sounds intense, but probably very revealing.
It forces you to be conscious.
Yeah.
Next is flexibility. Think traditional Japanese rooms with sliding screens, furniture you can move easily. Kempton mentions Sanada Sen's home as an example, adaptable spaces using natural materials.
So your home can change with you, with the seasons?
Exactly. It's not rigid.
Yeah.
And she also highlights the beauty of contrast, light and shadow working together, or simple areas next to spots with interesting detail.
Okay, 4th theme.
Nature. This is huge in Wabi Sabi, absolutely fundamental. Kempton quotes a Zen monk saying simply, Wabi Sabi is naturalness.
Just bringing nature in.
Yes, appreciating natural materials, wood grain, stone textures, bringing plants indoors, consciously connecting with the natural world outside your window. It's key to that Wabi Sabi feeling. It ties back to feeling part of nature, not separate.
Right, that interconnectedness again. And the last theme.
Details.
Yeah.
This is about noticing and appreciating the small things, the often overlooked, maybe slightly imperfect details that bring unexpected joy. Kempton's example, using an old sake bottle as a vase, arranging some beach pebbles she found.
Those little personal touches.
Exactly. They tell a story, add character. It's about finding beauty in the ordinary, this specific.
And she also gives those 10 principles for a Wabi Sabi-inspired home more concrete tips.
Yeah, things like paying attention to your entryway, creating multi-purpose rooms, maximizing natural light, really embracing imperfections instead of trying to hide them, collecting things mindfully, showing gratitude for your space. It's all about creating a home that feels authentic to you and supports a calmer life.
And this even extends to how we host people. Wabi Sabi inspired hospitality.
It does. It's about shifting away from trying to impress with perfection, like some crazy gourmet meal you stress over. Instead, it's about thoughtful, relaxed sharing, focusing on small things that make guests feel genuinely welcome and comfortable.
Like having their favorite tea.
Or a cozy blanket if it's chilly. It's about the connection, the presence, being fully there with your guests, not just putting on a show.
Okay, let's go even deeper into that nature connection. It seems like the absolute bedrock of Wabi Sabi.
It really is. As Nakata stressed, it's tied to our basic relationship with the natural world, accepting transience, experiencing life through our senses. Kempton reinforces this. The Japanese view isn't humans in nature, it's humans as part of nature.
She contrasted the dictionary definitions, didn't she?
Yeah. Western view.
Yeah.
Nature as separate from us. Japanese view more like things as they are.
Yeah.
Much more direct, encompassing.
And connecting with nature means really noticing the seasons change.
Absolutely. Kempton talks about actively noticing the seasons, maybe creating your own little rituals around them. She tells that lovely story about making hoshigaki dried persimmons with her elderly neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
Finding that deep connection and beauty in these simple, cyclical, seasonal activities.
It's about tuning into those natural rhythms around us, even in the city.
Exactly. The seasons are like these constant, gentle reminders of life's ebb and flow, growth, decay, renewal. Modern life often pushes us against these rhythms, doesn't it? Which can lead to stress, feeling disconnected.
She mentions forest bathing, too, Shinrin-yoku.
Yes. And there's actual science behind it now. People like Professor Miyazaki have shown spending mindful time in a forest, using all your senses, literally lowers stress hormones, boosts your immune system. It validates that deep need we have for nature.
And being close to nature inevitably makes you aware of impermanence, right? Which is so central to Wabi Sabi.
Totally. Kempton says, nature reminds us of the transience of our own lives. She shares seeing that fleeting double rainbow, beautiful, breathtaking, but temporary. A reminder to pay attention, appreciate these moments while they're here.
Which leads us perfectly into acceptance and letting go. That seems like a huge practical takeaway from Wabi Sabi.
It really is. At its core, Wabi Sabi is about accepting life as it is. Impermanent, imperfect, incomplete. Kempton uses this great analogy comparing literal translation, chokiyaku, with contextual translation, yaku.
How does that relate?
Well, striving for a perfect, literal life might miss the messy, authentic beauty of your actual contextual reality. It's about embracing the yaku of your life, not demanding chokiyaku.
So learning to accept change is inevitable rather than fighting it.
Exactly. She reflects on going back to Kyoto and seeing how it changed, how she and her friend had changed. Trying to freeze things, hold on to the past rigidly, just causes stress.
And she gives advice on making peace with the past, actually choosing to let go.
Yeah, making a conscious decision. Maybe journaling, talking it through, setting an intention. Wabi Sabi encourages acknowledging the past is past. Life is happening now.
Which brings us back to accepting the present moment.
Yes. Anchoring yourself in the now, especially when you feel stressed or anxious. She tells a story of the Ryoanji Temple water basin, the Tkubai, with the inscription meaning, I only know enough.
What's the lesson there?
It's a reminder to just be content with the present, accept it as it is, without constantly needing more or focusing on what's lacking. I have enough. I know enough. I am enough. Right here, right now.
And this acceptance extends to the future, too.
Absolutely. Being grateful for now, but releasing that tight grip on needing specific outcomes later. Kempton shares wisdom from Minako Kaneko, a 94-year-old woman.
What did she say?
Basically, that unhappiness often comes from not being content with what you have now. Always looking outside your own life for something else.
That's a big shift from our usual goal-setting mindset.
It is. It's finding contentment now while staying open to the future, but without needing to control every little thing.
Okay, let's talk about failure and perfectionism. That's a struggle for so many of us. How does Wabi Sabi help here?
Well, it directly challenges that Western obsession with everything being flawless. Wabi Sabi embraces imperfection as natural, authentic. Kempton says learning is a lifelong journey. There's no done, no complete, no perfect.
She shared a personal story about a translation job.
Yeah, feeling intimidated at first. It illustrates that learning involves dips, challenges that potential for a dip in the graph, as she calls it. It's normal, part of the process.
No done, complete, or perfect. That's quite freeing, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
And she looks at the Japanese attitude to failure. Okay, there might be a cultural thing about public failure, but underneath, Wabi Sabi accepts imperfection as essential for growth. Mistakes aren't shameful. They're learning opportunities.
So the focus shifts from just the outcome to the value of the process itself, bumps and all.
Precisely. Kempton says creativity is in the sharing. The beauty is in the act of making, engaging, not just in hitting some perfect ideal. She mentions the artisans in Kyoto's Nishijin district, just absorbed in their craft.
And she gives those 5 ways to build creative confidence that fit this.
Yes, focus on process, not product. Give yourself permission to mess up. Find supportive people. It's about nurturing that creative spark for its own sake.
And the House of Light experience, that was about perspective.
Yeah, it was powerful. Seeing the same sky look totally different depending on the window, the frame. It showed how our perception of problems, of failures, depends so much on the lens we use: judgment versus grace, acceptance.
Failure, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly. Such a good takeaway. Okay, so how does all this wabi-sabi thinking play out in our relationships and just everyday living?
Well, the tea ceremony comes up again with its 4 principles: harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. Kempton says these offer guidance beyond the tea room.
Let's unpack those quickly. Harmony.
In the ceremony, it's about the interplay host, guest, season, objects. In life, it's fostering connection, balance in our relationships with nature, more peaceful interactions.
Makes sense. Respect.
Treating utensils with care in the ceremony. In life, it means accepting others as they are, kindness, humility, being present, considering their needs, and purity, more than just clean.
Yeah, physical cleanliness, but also spiritual clarity, intention. So for us, it's decluttering our minds too, letting go of negativity, assumptions, being more authentic.
And finally, tranquility, the overall mood.
Exactly, the calm of the ceremony. We can cultivate more of that in our lives by bringing in wabi-sabi principles, simplicity, nature, acceptance into our daily routines and mindset. Finding calm even when things are chaotic.
Kempton also emphasizes generosity of spirit.
Yes, seeing others with an open heart without judgment, accepting their imperfections. She tells that story about the wet tea towel.
Oh, right. Becoming a symbol of gratitude for her husband's effort.
Exactly, seeing the intention behind the small things, not just the surface.
And she links this back to ku, that emptiness-ness idea.
Reverend Kawakami explained, it's not about nothingness, but interconnectedness, no separate self. Realizing that dissolves boundaries between us, fostering empathy, generosity, and makes shared moments feel deeper.
Which underlines the importance of actual face-to-face connection and reading the air.
Right. Reading the air, kuki-wo-yomo, that Japanese skill of sensing the mood, unspoken cues, others' needs. It builds harmony, deeper understanding.
And even with modern Japan's pace, there's an underlying calm that wabi-sabi can help us find anywhere.
Definitely. By embracing simplicity, nature acceptance, we can tap into an inner calm, even amidst chaos. It helps us respond better, make wiser choices, connect more effectively.
So, practical ways to deepen connections using wabi-sabi.
Kempton suggests things like being fully present with people, really listening actively, prioritizing shared experiences over superficial stuff, basically valuing genuine connection and giving it your attention.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it really comes down to cherishing moments and embracing the whole journey, flaws and all.
That's it. Wabi Sabi brings it all together. Be present. Actively look for and appreciate those moments of beauty, even in imperfect days. Heed that quiet call of beauty around you.
She mentions Japan's longevity factors aligning with this.
Yeah, connection to nature, daily activity, community, meaningful life. These all resonate deeply with Wabi Sabi principles.
And that idea from Ayami Nagata, if you can't sense wabi-sabi, maybe you're off track.
It's a fascinating thought, like a signal to slow down, breathe, make space to notice beauty again. If you lose that appreciation, maybe it's time to reconnect with what truly matters to you.
It makes you think about your legacy, what you contribute, and that beauty in every emotion idea is powerful.
Absolutely. Kempton shares wisdom from elders finding joy in simple things, embracing each life stage. She uses the term fushaim, the nose on bamboo, as a metaphor for growth happening in stages, transitions having their own beauty.
Even planning can be wabi-sabi. Perfectly imperfect planning.
Yeah. Setting intentions, knowing your priorities, but staying flexible, open to life's detours. Making space for beauty, not just scheduling every second. Her experience with the Kakebo, the Household Budget Journal, highlights clarity, priority, practice, and mindful living and spending.
So it's about embracing every stage, aging gracefully, and realizing true perfection might just be in those fleeting moments of authentic beauty.
Beautifully put.
So wrapping up, wabi-sabi really offers this liberating way to see the world, doesn't it? Finding beauty and contentment in imperfection, not despite it. It gives practical ideas for simplifying, connecting with nature, accepting change, cherishing the now.
It really does. And it invites you, the listener, to think about how these ideas might fit into your own life, how they could help you navigate things with maybe a bit more grace, resilience, and appreciation.
And I'm left thinking about that quote from the potter, Rakuki Chisaman. A small bowl sitting in one's hand contains the whole of the universe, a reminder of the profound beauty in simple things.
A perfect thought to end on.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, may you find beauty in the perfectly imperfect moments of your day.